You are not angry at God. You are not doubting Him either. You are confused in a quieter way. And that confusion has been sitting with you longer than you admit. You keep waiting. You keep obeying. But something feels misaligned, and you do not know how to name it. At first, you told yourself it was just a season. That clarity would come if you stayed faithful a little longer. So you kept moving forward without stopping to listen to what felt off. But the confusion did not leave. It only grew quieter, heavier, harder to confront. And now you wonder if silence means patience or avoidance. You ask God for direction, yet you avoid the questions forming inside you. Questions about motive, questions about exhaustion, questions about whether waiting has become a hiding place. You still pray, but your prayers feel rehearsed, safe, unfinished. You stop short of asking the thing you are afraid to hear answered. Psalm 13:1. There is relief in knowing God understands silence, that He does not mistake your confusion for rebellion. But that relief does not last long, because the waiting continues. And the longer you wait, the more you confuse faithfulness with endurance. You begin to believe that staying still is the same as trusting. Yet something inside you resists that idea. You feel it late at night, when obedience feels heavy instead of alive. You wonder if patience has quietly turned into delay. You tell yourself, I will move when God makes it obvious. But deep down, you are afraid of what obvious might cost you. So you remain suspended between obedience and comfort. James 1:5. For a moment, you feel steady again. God gives wisdom generously. That truth settles you, but it also presses you, because wisdom is not the same as certainty. And clarity does not always arrive without action. Sometimes it comes after you step, not before. That thought unsettles you. It means waiting might no longer be neutral. It might be shaping you in ways you did not choose. You begin to realize the confusion is not about God's silence. It's about your reluctance to ask better questions. Questions that would require honesty instead of endurance. What if God is not withholding direction, but inviting examination? What if the waiting is revealing what you are attached to? What if obedience without reflection is not as faithful as you assumed? Lamentations 3:31-33. There is comfort here. God does not reject you in the waiting. He does not delight in your confusion. But comfort again gives way to tension, because the passage does not promise speed. It promises purpose, and purpose demands attention. It demands that you stop numbing the unease with spiritual language. It asks you to face the confusion instead of managing it. You begin to see the pattern. You wait, you feel uneasy, you suppress it, you call it patience. Then you repeat the cycle, hoping time will resolve what honesty has not. But the confusion persists because it is asking something of you. Not movement yet, not answers yet, but awareness. You are not being punished by silence. You are being invited to notice what you have ignored. The gap between what you say you trust and what you actually avoid. Isaiah 30:21. This verse does not shout. It does not rush you. It simply assumes you are listening. The question is whether you are, not for instructions, but for conviction, not for reassurance, but for alignment. Clarity begins to form here, quietly, not as relief, but as responsibility. You realize the confusion was never random. It was the cost of postponing self-examination. It was the weight of waiting without engagement. It was what happens when obedience loses attentiveness. God's silence was not the absence of guidance. It was a space where your attention was meant to sharpen, where motives were meant to surface. You do not need to force movement, and you do not need to justify staying still. But you do need to stop ignoring what the waiting is revealing, because unresolved confusion does not protect your faith. It slowly reshapes it, either into trust that listens or endurance that avoids. The waiting will continue, but now it looks different. Now it asks something of you. Not speed, not certainty, but honesty. And that's where clarity finally begins.